Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things 33 way common sense lens. And I think it was pretty obvious for anybody paying attention that Snow White was going to be a disastrous dumpster fire at the box office. Obviously, right from the get-go, with the race swapping and the changing of the original source material, and of course, Rachel Zegler just made everything 10 times worse and drove this movie absolutely into the bottom of the box office, straight into the toilet, turned it into an absolute disastrous dumpster fire with all of her weird, and bashing the original source material. Well, if you hadn't heard, boys and girls, a little movie called Minecraft, a Minecraft movie, quite literally, came out over the weekend. And needless to say, its box office is absolutely crushing it out there, and it is guaranteed to make sure that Snow White does not even come anywhere near close to sniffing a profit. Boys and girls, it'll be an absolute miracle from on high for this thing to even hit $200 million collectively worldwide, and it'd be a big shocker if it even hit $180 million at this point. Boys and girls, Disney's Snow White is an absolute disastrous dumpster fire, and it's also caused another movie to get canceled because of how much of a box office mess it has absolutely been. And you can see that right over here from thatparkplace.com. Minecraft blows up the box office while Snow White falls to fourth. The modern audience just sent Hollywood a message. Yes, boys and girls, that quote-unquote modern audience that they were trying to chase, with all their race swapping and gender swapping and everything else, of course, has now fallen miserably flat. And they can blame that not only on themselves for obviously going through and giving this stuff an absolute bad idea from the very beginning, but also on all of Rachel Zegler and all of her insanity. Why do I say that? Why can I justify saying that it wasn't just Disney's fault? Because this is not the first time they've race swapped a live action character. If you just remember, last year we had our Black Little Mermaid, more erasure of redheads, boys and girls. And though I think Halle Berry is an absolutely beautiful girl out there, and she was very sweet to the crowd, needless to say, that movie did end up losing the Walt Disney Company money. Now, it did still make over $500 million globally, which is significantly different. And why? The one factor that was changed. Halle Bailey didn't talk bad to the fans. She didn't talk down about the original source material. She talked about how much she loved it, how much she appreciated, how much she just wanted to bring a new version to this character that everybody could really enjoy and embrace and love. Whereas Rachel Zegler is the direct opposite. She did nothing but bash the original source material, the movie that actually saved the Walt Disney Company from bankruptcy, mind you, while all of her running her mouth and all of her weird turned this thing into literally a bigger disastrous dumpster fire than, of course, even Disney's The Marvels as well. So we're going to check out this article. We're going to break down all the numbers because even Deadline and everybody else and Variety itself has to report how bad these things are doing. And, of course, we've got the official numbers over here. But like I said, the nail in the coffin to this movie undoubtedly was not only Rachel Zegler, but now as well as the Minecraft movie, meaning this thing will have no legs whatsoever, even for families desperate to find a family-friendly movie to go see with their kids on the weekend. So we're going to check out these articles. We're going to show all the juicy information, give you all the wonderful details. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 1,700. We're on our way to 1,800, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Does it surprise you at all that the Minecraft movie is absolutely destroying Snow White at the box office? Does it surprise you at all whatsoever that now, considering the fact that, of course, Snow White has failed miserably, that now Disney is putting another live action on hold? Me wonders if they were going to race swap that one too. I don't know, but let us know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Did you go see both of these movies? Which one did you prefer? God bless you if you absolutely did. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check the links in the description as well. All right, from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Montanero. The box office results for Minecraft and Disney's Snow White could not be more different or more telling. A Minecraft movie didn't just win the weekend, it blew the box office wide open and sent Hollywood a clear message about IPs and the so-called modern audience. With a jaw-dropping $157 million opening, Warner Brothers and Legendary now hold the record for the biggest video game movie debut of all time, overtaking the Super Mario Brothers movie. That is insane. Do I think this movie is going to have the same Minecraft, the same legs as Super Mario Brothers movie? Probably not, but needless to say, that is still an insane crown to take away from the Mario Brothers, right? One of the largest video game IPs in history, a literal part of it is literally a pop culture icon. Mario is a pop culture icon, and Minecraft just came in and beat their opening weekend. That is insane. The film also gave the entire domestic office a desperately needed jolt. Skyrocketed weekend totals by 154% compared to last week. Meanwhile, over in the kingdom of crumbling crowns, Disney's Snow White dropped like an enchanted apple, falling to fourth place behind The Chosen, Last Supper, which I absolutely love. Literally a Christian movie beat this Disney woke mind virus garbage dumpster fire at the box office on a Friday. That's just beautiful. And it's part 2, mind you, a Fathom event, face-based release, which means it didn't get a broad release like Snow White did. No. It got a limited theatrical release because that's how Fathom events work. Normally, there's only one theater in your general area that will be playing a Fathom event. It's not going to be at every single theater in your area like Snow White was. It's a staggering defeat for what was once considered the cornerstone of Disney's fairy tale empire. And like I said, boys and girls, even over here, and this is one of the things, like obviously Disney now pushes pause on live action Tangled movie. Why did they do this? Well, it's pretty obvious. This is probably something else that they'd had in development for a very long time. They were probably going to race swap the main character, just like they did in Snow White, just like they did, of course, in Little Mermaid as well, and just lead them into all of the exact same kind of things. And we already know from Disney's insiders out there over at Pixar that Disney, as far as they're concerned, is that the gay stuff doesn't work, right? And that's why they changed. That's why Inside Out 2 didn't have any of that. The Pixar employees were super mad that they get fired because Disney told them flat out, we're not putting in gay stuff in these children's programs anymore. And maybe, just maybe, this is a sign that they're also pausing the race swaps, because obviously Disney knows that Rachel Zegler was the biggest problem of this movie turning into a disastrous dumpster fire. They had insiders leak information out to Variety so that way they could publish it and just completely and totally throw her under the bus, rightfully so, for the disastrous dumpster fire. Well, now that's got it all Tangled on pause, because we know Disney rarely actually ever cancels things, whether it be Star Wars or Marvel projects or any of that kind of stuff out there. No, they just put them on pause, essentially an indefinite hiatus. Why would they put it on an indefinite hiatus? Well, boys and girls, it's pretty obvious when you look at the numbers. This thing, $169 million, $659,001 after being in the box office almost a month now. Almost a month. March 21st to April 8th, boys and girls, and that is just insane. 3 weekends is all it's gotten so far, and it still domestically couldn't even crack $100 million. Let's go down here. This is one of my favorite spots to look at because this tells you right here. Summary, right? Summary. Right here where we've got the domestic box office is going to tell you down here. Oh, they don't even have it ranked on here. Oh, you sad poor thing out there. They're not even willing to put it on. Oh, no, wait. Yes, they do. Production budget, $269.4 million. Giggity. There's that 69 again. Worldwide box office is 0.6 times production budget. 0.6 times past production, boys and girls. Whereas the Minecraft movie is literally like at 2.3 after 1 weekend and a few days during the week, and that's not even out the full international numbers getting reported in because they normally take a while to come in. The Minecraft movie is already at 2.3. It will end up making a profit more than likely before the end of its first week in the theaters, before even the second weekend box office hits. But I guarantee you it will blast past that because the audience score is like an 88% versus what we saw for the Snow White audience score, which was absolutely abysmal. The trailers got ratioed into oblivion, and this is what happens when you change things, right? Minecraft's initial trailer got ratioed into oblivion as well, just like the Disney Snow White ones did as well. The difference was Minecraft changed its marketing, right? Minecraft said instead of concentrating on these characters that are kind of weird and kind of awkward, let's instead concentrate on all the things that everybody loves about Minecraft, all of the crazy creatures, all of the blocks, the creation, all of that kind of stuff. And it worked out very, very successful for them. Their next trailers did not get ratioed at all. The fans seem to really love them. And obviously they've had one of the most explosive box office opening weekends that anybody's seen in a long time, and the number one for a video game movie. Whereas the direct opposite is true with Snow White. The first trailer got got ratioed into oblivion, and every single trailer got ratioed into oblivion from there on out. Disney could not pivot enough away from the marketing disaster that is, of course, Rachel Zegler, plus their whole premise from the very beginning. But like I mentioned with Little Mermaid before, it's one of them situations where you still could have at least come close to arguably be making a profit like you did with Little Mermaid. But of course, we all know those budgets are always way behind. But either way, just for argument's sake, let's say Little Mermaid actually inked out a profit. You know what the number one difference is? Because that one had horrible music that a lot of people thought was very cringy. They thought the trailers looked really cringy. A lot of the story had been changed as well, right? What was the one major factor in difference right there? Rachel Zegler and Halle Bailey. Halle Bailey, wonderful girl in interviews, beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, looks great in a dress on the red carpet, versus Rachel Zegler. And honestly, probably been a little bit dipping too much into the Ozempic crowd out there, but she's skinny. She's not very attractive. At least I thought she was initially, but that nasty attitude she has, and she is still way too on the skinny side, but that nasty attitude she has and them ugly looking looks she always has on her faces. I mean, just look at the video of her and Gal Gadot going to present something at the Oscars together. She looked like she was literally acting like a petulant child. She looked like she was stomping her feet, and that nasty fake smile that was on her face was just absolutely despicable, which is why Snow White failed way worse than even this Little Mermaid movie. And think about this. This thing is going to come in under the Marvels, boys and girls, which is considered as one of the biggest disastrous dumpster fires in box office history, and certainly one of the worst for Disney with all of its conglomerates out there in history. And guess what? Snow White went, hold my beer and watch this. Or I guess in this case, hold my activist propaganda and watch this. And even Variety, this is the best part, Variety buries this all the way down. And you could argue that they're making it by numbers, but here's the funny part about this. See if I've still got this tweet pulled up. I don't have the tweet pulled up anymore, but Variety, literally the tweet was all about how Snow White had become a disastrous dumpster fire, and then you click on the article and it's all about Minecraft. But basically it's their whole box office. It's the box office for the weekend. But this is one of the beautiful things, because even the Hollywood trade magazines, even the legacy institutions out there have to admit that this thing is not going to end up making a profit. Disney Snow White is in fourth place after earning $1.5 million on Friday, going down 60% from its daily total 1 week ago. Now, in its third weekend of release, the live-action remake of the company's original animated classic has faded quickly in the theaters after putting up what was already a disappointing debut. Domestic gross now stands at $72 million, and the film is in serious danger of not even hitting $100 million in North America, a disastrous result for a $250 million Hollywood production. And that's it, bare minimum, right? That's just what Disney has told the trade magazines that they spent money, that they spent the money that they spent on this movie, right? Which obviously we know from Star Wars and basically anything that's ever produced out there in the United Kingdom, from the tax returns, we always know what they report to the trade magazines is always way under what these budgets actually were. I'm sure this budget was at least $350 million, if not more, after all the reshoots, the changes, and everything else, switching from live action homeless people from San Francisco to CGI abomination dwarfs. I mean, all of it is going to cost extra money, right? But even for argument's sake, $250 million. Even if we believe that, even if we go towards the normal fun little 2.5 times thing, let's do it real quick. We'll pull the calculator up and we'll do it live. We will do it live, right? $250 million, right? Times 2.5. This movie had to make a minimum of $625 million in order to be considered making a profit. How much has it made so far? 169. Working out to a 456 potential revenue lost on this movie, right? Potential revenue lost for almost $500 million loss on this movie. Now, let's just say the production budget, right? Let's not even add in, right? Let's not even add in the $100 million at minimum they spent on marketing. Let's do the math once again. 250 at minimum. at absolute bare bones, no matter what pixie dust or no matter how much of Disney sauce you are snorting, drinking, and slurping down. At minimum, this movie has cost the Walt Disney Company $81 million. At minimum, this movie has easily cost the Walt Disney Company $300 to $400 million. And that's only being conservative and saying 2.5 times is what it needed to hit a profit, right? That's bare minimum. You can easily argue that this movie lost Disney almost $500 million, all because Rachel Zegler couldn't keep her stupid big mouth shut. She had to bash the original source material. She had to go out there and trash the fans. She had to call everybody ists and phobes and, oh, I'm not going to bleach my skin. Ha 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 ha. While the prince is a creepy, weird stalker. And well, no, this movie's not going to be about a prince coming in and saving her and help her rule her kingdom. No, she's going to be all independent on her own. And she's going to become the most powerful woman ever. And then on top of it, talk about trying to pee on us and convince it is raining. You're trying to convince anybody out there in the world that Rachel Zegler is somehow fairer than Gal Gadot, you absolutely insane. And if you believe that, I've got some very nice oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. Because boys and girls, I will make more of a profit off of that scam than the Walt Disney Company will ever even dream about making off of Snow White. Snow White is a disastrous dumpster fire. It has now caused Tangled's live action to be canceled. Okay, we're going to say canceled until we hear otherwise. And now with Minecraft coming in and absolutely just destroying and exploding, blowing the doors wide open on a video game opening weekend box offices and rejuvenating the box office at a time that it needed it the most, and giving Warner Brothers Discovery another beautiful win, another feather in their hat, which is exactly what they need right now. A Minecraft movie has guaranteed beyond any shadow of a doubt whatsoever that Disney's live-action Snow White, starring the absolutely irreprehensible, annoying, and irritating Rachel Zegler, is going to be an absolute failure. This thing was worse than the Marvels, boys and girls. Disney, you decided to dance with the devil. You decided to hire an activist cult member who went out there and acted like an activist cult member in all of your marketing. You were so surprised it happened, and now it has cost you hundreds of millions of dollars. Bob Iger, the Walt Disney Company, all of the rest of you executives and creatives that thought this would be a good idea, well, guess what? You've just cost your company almost $500 million, and it's exactly what you deserve.